Hey everybody, so continuing on with our season previews, we are up to the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton obviously had a disastrous season last year. Really weren't even close to making the playoffs after making the second round the year before. Really, anything that could have gone wrong went wrong in Edmonton last year, with the exception of Connor McDavid, who was still spectacular, but everyone around him was not good. Edmonton obviously is trying to not repeat that this season and looking to get back to the team that they were 2 years ago when they made the playoffs and made it to the second round. Not a ton of changes in Edmonton this year. A few minor additions. Let's take a look at their lineup here and see what we've got and see what they're working with this season, trying to get back to the playoffs in a very difficult Western Conference. So, top line: Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor McDavid, and Ty Rattie. Second line: Milan Lucic, Leon Draisaitl, and Toby Reeder. Third line: Drake Caggiula, Ryan Strome, and Jesse Puljujarvi. And then the fourth line is Jujhar Khaira, Kyle Brodziak, and Zach Kassian. Decent forward group, a lot of talent and potential there to be really, really good. Also some question marks. Then we get to the defense, and oh boy, does the Andrej Sekera injury affect this defense. This defense was a huge issue with Andrej Sekera in the lineup and a question mark with him in the top six. Now he's out indefinitely with a torn Achilles and could be out for a long time. This defense is even more of an issue now. So your top pair is Klefbom and Larson. Your second pair, Nurse and I guess Benning. And then Jerabek and Russell round out your top six. I guess you could switch Benning and Russell and put Russell in the top four. Either way, neither of those two belong in the top four. So we're already really light on defense here. Then in goal you have Cam Talbot, who has really had a rough year last year. He needs to bounce back in a big way. And then Koskinen is the backup, and I really don't know much about him because he's coming over from the KHL. Your extra players, Kyler Yamamoto and Pontus Aberg, and then Kevin Gravel is your seventh defenseman. All I'm going to say here is that there are jobs to be won. This is not necessarily what the lineup is going to look like opening night. If a young player comes in and has a really good preseason, there are jobs to be won, especially on defense. Really, that's what I'm going to spend the most time talking about on defense. Goaltending, Cam Talbot needs to be better. That's just simply the goaltending problem in Edmonton. Talbot was really, really bad last year. If he plays better, then the team is going to be better. So that's really all it comes down to. Up front, you have the best player in the league in Connor McDavid, who's going to be a 100-point player every year for the next 10 to 15 years. And Ty Rattie isn't a big name, but if you put him next to McDavid can make him a lot better than he is. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a very good player as well, so that top line is fantastic. The second line is what I'm worried about because they did not get enough secondary scoring or enough offense from anyone outside of McDavid last season. Lucic had a terrible year. Draisaitl had a down year. Both of them need to be much better. Toby Reeder on that right side. I think there's a chance Puljujarvi ends up on the second line and Reeder down on the third line. That's probably what's going to end up happening. I don't see Reeder being a guy who deserves top 6 minutes or puts up top 6 points. But that second line needs to be better this year and needs to produce a lot more offensively. The third line needs to add some secondary scoring in here. Ryan Strome has been a huge disappointment in the NHL, both in New York and now with Edmonton. He needs to find his game, or he's going to go down as a major, major bust. He needs to start producing offensively. And then Caggiula and Puljujarvi are both solid young wingers who can score goals. If they need to put up points. If they put up points, this team's in good shape. And then their fourth line, I love their fourth line. Jujhar Khaira, Kyle Brodziak, and Zach Kassian. That is a tough line. That's a very physical line. I really like Jujhar Khaira. He really came on last year and burst onto the scene. I really like him as a fourth liner. He's physical. He has some offensive ability. As does Zach Kassian. Zach Kassian, he can play. He's a tough guy. He's a physical guy. He throws his weight around a lot, but he can play. He's a decent player. So him and Khaira on the wings are fantastic. Brodziak, been around the league for a long time. Really, really solid veteran center. So, their forward group is good. I think they have 4 good lines. They should get scoring from at least 3 of them. And if these guys play the way that they can play, this team is going to be good offensively. The biggest issue, and it's a major issue with this team, is the defense. They don't have a number 1 defenseman. Larson is extremely overrated. Clefbaum is not a number 1. I think their best defenseman is Darnell Nurse. Darnell Nurse is their best defenseman, and that they're just, without Andrej Sekera, they are just lacking everywhere. Benning does not belong anywhere near the top 4 of any defense core, and now he or Russell is in the top 4 spot. Russell also not a top 4 defenseman. Benning is a borderline NHL guy. Russell is a bottom pair NHL guy. Yarabek, who knows with him? He was just kind of an extra guy in Washington last year. Now he's thrown into a top 6 role. Maybe. Gravel is the 7. He's nothing spectacular. There are jobs to be won. If there are young defensemen that can make this team in Edmonton, they have a chance to make this team. Ethan Bear, I'm really talking to you. I like Bear a lot. I think he's a really solid young defenseman, and I think he does have a chance with a good preseason to crack this NHL lineup. Also, they drafted Evan Bouchard in the first round. I mean, generally you don't want to be playing, defensemen that young, but with this defense, he might, if he comes in and has a really, really strong training camp, he could win a job the way that Brandon Carlo did in Boston, where he came in, had a really good preseason and training camp a couple of years ago, and he won a job in Boston. And I think Evan Bouchard could do that this year, as could Ethan Bear. Ethan Bear has a chance to crack this lineup on defense as well. So watch for those two in the preseason, because if they make this defense better, Edmonton's going to play them, because this defense is not very good right now. Basically, this team, they finished 6th in the division last year. Obviously, Arizona and Vancouver were the 2 worst teams. I just don't know what to think about this team this year. They could finish 6th again, or they could finish as high as 2nd or 3rd, I think, in the Pacific. I just don't know. It really, there's a lot of potential with this team, and there's a lot of problems with this team. And it really depends on which of those shine through. Do guys play well and the potential shine through? They could be a playoff team. Or do the problems shine through like they did last year, and they could be in for another disastrous season? Now, special teams were another huge issue for the Oilers last year. Special teams really, no one thing sunk the Oilers last year. Goaltending was an issue, defense was an issue, special teams were an issue, but the special teams were a huge, huge problem. They could not kill penalties. They could not produce on the power play. Really a big issue. If that gets corrected, then this team, again, could be a lot better. If Cam Talbot plays better, this team could be a lot better. If their defense somehow with this group ends up playing well, this team should be a lot better. If they can get secondary scoring, this team should be a lot better. So there are a lot of ways that this team can get better this season. I do not expect them to be nearly as bad as they were last year. However, in a division with Vegas, San Jose, LA, Calgary, all looking pretty good, it's going to be tough to Anaheim, it's going to be tough to win in that division. Now, I'm really down on Anaheim this year, and we'll get to that when I get to Anaheim for their season preview. But it's still going to be tough for this team to make the playoffs. If they have a good year and play to their potential, and they're better on special teams, Talbot plays well, they get good secondary scoring, then they can be a playoff team, absolutely, either as a wild card or as finishing third in that division. If things go wrong again, they are going to find themselves right back in 6th place and well out of the playoff picture. So that's what I've got on Edmonton. They're a tough team to really gauge this year after what happened last year. We'll just have to wait and see. So let me know what you think about the Oilers down in the comment section below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. Check out offthewallhockey.com. All those links are down in the description. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.